Okay, start over. Go ahead.
Okay, so what we're wanting to do here is we are wanting to start a war to end all wars against the coalition of Viridan.
Yep.
The first thing I do whenever I'm thinking, okay, it's time to start thinking about expansion through conflict, is I go to the contact screen and I verify that I'm not about to put my very sensitive bits into a meat grinder.
Okay.
Best place to do that is to look at the contact screen and to get a general feel of how the universe would view this conflict. Is this going to be a coalition of the willing against these Viridan jerks? Or as soon as I declare war, everyone's going to be like, I was looking for an excuse to attack feedback, so let's all declare war. So we can see in the contact screen that the coalition of Viridan really doesn't like us. Negative 149. The Confederate Jackley Sons, we're all friends. The relative power is the next thing I look at. Now that I see that this war may have, if it's going to be a war that people are going to join, they're going to join me.
Yeah.
Right? We can see that the Confederate Jackley Sons are also rivaling the coalition of Viridran.
Yep.
Or Viridan, or how you pronounce it. So there is no chance that they are going to ally with them against us.
Yep.
So that's good news number one. Now I look at the relative power. Looking at the coalition relative power, we see that everything is equivalent. They have roughly equivalent fleet power, naval capacity, and tech, which means all things equal, we are equal.
Awesome.
We look at the Confederated Jackley Sons, the people who may very well join us. If we look at their relative power, I think we saw that they are better than us in a category, so they will also be better than the coalition.
Right. Okay, that's good. Perfect.
So, yep, if they're going to join, we might want to, kind of play nice with them to get us to join that conflict either from the beginning or in the conflict by sort of enticing them to capture some of their territory. So we could do a defensive pact, which would only trigger if we were declared war on by the coalition. But that also opens up the ability to ally, which is a tradition. I want to say that is the diplomacy tradition.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay, so what would you advise I do?
So we know that we're equal. We don't see any fleets with them. I can't remember if we have closed borders with them or not.
Yes, we do.
We do have closed borders. Okay, so that means they can't come into our territory right now, and we can't go into theirs. So what I would look at now is what hyperlanes do we have connecting our two territories?
These are these lines.
Yes, those are the lines connecting the stars. In a hyperlane game like we have, it's the only method of transport. Again, in the next patch, it's going to be hyperlanes only with a few exceptions. But those are the only ways that they can get to you, is following those little lines.
I just want to talk about hyperlanes for a second then. So, what's the alternative for hyperlanes? I don't understand.
So there are, right now in the game, there are three methods of moving around the galaxy. There are hyperlanes, where you have to follow these precise movement lines. Like you can jump from Rigel to feedback, and then from feedback to Bernard Star or Alpha Centauri.
Yep, the lines, yep.
Yep, the other two do not have that same constraint. One of them is warp, where your fleet just warps to another star system in range. So the bigger warp drive you have, the more you can jump. So in this situation, we could jump from Rigel to Alpha Centauri,
right,
or from Rigel to Bernard Star.
Yep.
It is slower, and it does have a cooldown. It has its own sort of ups and downs with it.
Right.
Then the other one is Wormhole. Wormhole is that you build a thing in your star system that lets you jump out of that to a much larger range of star systems. But once you have made that jump, to jump anywhere else, you would then have to build a wormhole thing there. It has, it's a little bit more like Warp in that it's more practical. It gives you the ability to sort of move around wherever you would like, except that it also has this drawback that you have to sort of build your infrastructure to be able to facilitate this movement. There was a big hullabaloo. There's a lot of people who played hyperlanes only. There's a lot of people who loved all of them because it gave them the ability to exploit the AI. It has come down from on high that hyperlanes are going to be the only transport method in the new patch to sort of make everything sort of from the same position. It gives them more design space because once both the AI and you are sort of constrained to this very same method, they can do more interesting things with alternatives instead of having all of the alternatives and saying, well, the design space is now exceptionally limited because like how are we going to change all of these different variables up? Sorry, I kind of went on a tangent there.
No, that's perfect. No, that answered my question really well. Actually, that's good. It's going to be weird for me because, well, actually, it's not going to be weird for me because I'll never experience the other system. So it'll make life easier and simpler, which is probably going to be a benefit. No, that's great.
That's one reason why we did go hyperlanes only, to prepare you for that, so you don't even have to really worry about those other methods. Now, those methods do exist in this game. You're not going to see it because it's a late game tech where you can sort of discover jump drives. So it's not a thing that we have to really keep on our radar yet.
No, that's awesome. No, that's cool. Okay.
So if we're going to be doing a war, one thing that I would recommend is making sure we are as close to capacity on our fleet as possible. If this were a mid-game or late-game war, and I had a huge surplus of energy, and I thought I could sort of supercharge my energy credit economy, I would overbuild that fleet because you're the only penalty you're going to get from overbuilding is an increased maintenance cost from energy credits.
More energy usage. Yep.
Yeah. So if we know we're going to go to war, there's no reason we wouldn't overbuild our fleet because we're going to lose some of those ships before we really suffered the penalties of our economy being in the pits.
Yep. That sounds good.
In terms of building a fleet, so now let's think about the fleets that we want to build. Unfortunately, as of right now, we don't have a good idea of what the fleet composition of our enemy is going to be. So we want to build essentially the best ships we can. We might want to mix and match some weapons if we have them. I think right now we're really all in on missiles, so we don't have that option. But missiles are very good, probably the best early game weapon if your opponent does not have point defense, i.e. the only way to shoot down missiles. So this is where we start getting into the combat sort of, it's not paper, rock, scissors, because it's more like a tool chest. You have different tools to do different jobs.
Cool, and I guess I'm always going to be making destroyers or corvettes just based on the capacity that it can hold, right?
Yes. I typically make my fleets just destroyers and cruisers. I think cruiser is the best class of the game. They are my ship of the line, so to speak. Battleships I like to have. The AI, once they have battleships, will only tend to build battleships. They'll have like 25 battleships and like maybe 5 cruisers and 10 corvettes, and it's like, man, I'm gonna house you because it's putting all of your eggs in one basket. Corvettes use 1 fleet supply, destroyers use 2, cruisers use 4, battleships lose 8. So if you lose 1 battleship, I have a buffer of 4 destroyers, a buffer of 8 corvettes, and I can build 8 corvettes to take down a single battleship. That's not a problem.
Cool.
Also, there is always a "oh no, I'm going to lose" button that you can emergency retreat, and they just warp out, and they at some point in the future appear back at your one of your starports. You'll recall one of your space or one of your science ships did that when they encountered a bad guy.
No, cool. Cool.
They disappear from that.
All right.
So what questions do you have?
Well, I guess at this point, do we go to war? Should a war be a good idea? Should we just do it just for the lols and see what?
Hell yeah, let's do it just for the lols.
That's for the lols. Let's do it for the lols.
One thing that I would recommend is it looks like our energy economy is sort of zero sum right now. we should probably want to build a couple energy outposts just so we can sort of supercharge that. Like Mosir has a 7 energy outpost that we could build. The system next to it, Kaori, has 2 energy. Like if we build all of our energy outposts relatively quickly, that will give us the ability to overbuild our fleet and really take out any chance that we're going to lose. This game does right now suffer a little bit from doom stack disorder. Early game and mid game. Late game, it's much different because you can have a bunch of different fleets instead of just your one giant fleet. But we want to make that single stack as powerful as we possibly can.
Do you think I should overbuild then? Go over my maintenance limit? Oh, actually, I'm just my maintenance limit just went up. Actually, I spotted that.
Yeah, it went up because you built a starport. Do I think? Yes, I think we would be able to afford a little bit of an overbuild, especially because we have all of these untapped energy resources that we can build on. I think overbuilding right now is not a bad idea.
Let's do it. So when I go to Declare War, it asks me a bunch of questions. It basically says, what is it like? Is these like war goals?
So, exactly. When you're going to war, the screen that pops up is, hey, what are you trying to do from this war? Do you want to liberate some planets, i.e. those planets are still under the NPC control, but it forms a splinter faction from your enemy? Do you want to have your opponent give you those planets? Like, do you want to take control of those planets?
Mm-hmm.
Do you just want to humiliate them? Do you want to vassalize your opponent by beating them? In Hoi 4, that happens in the war conference post-war. There is a war conference in Stellaris, but you have to sort of set your goals early because that also is what determines the AI interaction with the war. If you're just having a war to humiliate them, they're not going to counter by having you cede all of your planets.
Okay, let's well, actually, I'm still constructing, so I'll probably be ready in probably just a wee bit of time.
Yes. One more thing about that, those war goals. If you set a war goal from the beginning, it is cheaper to enact that war goal when you win. If you say,
yep,
I'm just going to come in to humiliate you, and now that I've won, I want you to actually cede all of your planets, you're not going to be able to afford that. Every goal has a certain point cost, and that point cost caps at 100.
Okay, cool. Now that's like a classic Casus Belli in EU4, isn't it? You meet your war goals are cheaper than what they would be. Yeah. That's cool.
Yep. In Hoi 4, you can say, well, I was just coming in for this province, but now it all belongs to me. You can pass to build up your points to get more things that you didn't initially declare you were going to do. That is not the case in Stellaris. In Stellaris, you have to say, okay, well, I'm coming in to take your stuff.
They're in this Steam age. What ages are in this game?
Primitive, Steam Age, Industrial, Modern, Spacefaring. And once they hit Spacefaring, at some point they will become another player in the game.
How quick do they develop? Is it quite fast?
No, I wouldn't say it's quite fast. It also depends on if you're, influencing that at all. But ultimately, if they're Industrial Age or if they're Agriculture Age, Primitive, they're probably not going to become a player in the game without active input on your part. Modern and Spacefaring, more than likely you will see them pop up at some point in the game.
What was the merge button? Oh, they're not merging. Is it because they're upgrading? Is that the reason why they're not merging? Correct. Is there a way? It says rally point. Is there a way of mass building a fleet other than having to click through each planet and click the button?
Yes. What you can do is it's one of the contextual drop-down menus where you can see all of your planets. You can set the queues from that screen. I feel like it's an alternate menu that I don't get a lot of use out of. I like sort of the visceral feeling of clicking on the planet, saying, okay, this planet's closer to the conflict, so I'm going to have them build bigger ships. this planet's further from the conflict that's about to start, I'm going to have them build smaller ships so they can chunk them out and get them into the fight faster. If I'm using that sort of planet screen, I feel like I don't get as much return.
Okay. So just show me how to do that.
So from that planet screen, you would click on the planet just like you did, and then you'd go to the spaceport tab and build them. There's not like a build.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was expecting some way of like mass spamming, but that's not there. Interesting.
Oh, or like an EU4 where you can bring up
yeah,
build menu
like
and just say, okay.
yeah, like template designer.
Yeah, I don't care where these guys are. I just want them. Go, 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 go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, we have. Oh, actually, they're still upgrading. Let's go fastest.
This is also a time that I will kind of eye any combat techs if I complete a tech during my build.
Yeah, I was actually slightly doing that. Yeah.
And be like, ooh, actually, more shield seems like they'd be really good. Yeah, let's go shield.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I also get into the problem where I do that every tech rotation is going to give me more combat related techs. I'm like, oh, I'll put off this war just 5 more years. 5 more years, I'm sure I'll get more tech, and then I find myself not in a war and stuff goes downhill.
No, sounds that's pretty sweet. Pretty
yeah,
sweet.
That's my greatest flaw. If somebody ever played me multiplayer to exploit, I'm a turtle. I like to go slow and methodical and never have to turn around.
Okay, great. I've got my ideal fleet now. It is pretty spooky.
I know your watchers may not like it, but that's peak physical performance right there.
This is the ideal man. You may not agree with it.
Let's put them on the border, and we get to choose 2 directions to go in.
Yeah, I can see that.
It looks like we either have the northern border or the southern border.
I'm gonna go with the north.
I love that decision, and I like that you made that decision without what I'm just about to tell you.
Yeah, I see that frontier outpost, and I want to snipe it.
God, I love it. Destroying frontier outposts are a war goal that you should never take, because you can just destroy the frontier outpost as part of the conflict. The idea is if you didn't destroy it during the actual war, if you took it as a war goal, they would have to, self-destruct it after the war if you took that war goal, except that there's no reason to spend points on that, because I got missiles that'll take that apart. I don't have to use words.
Oh boy. Okay, we're gonna declare war on the chipmunk, guinea pig, kind of goat people, and we've got options.
Yes.
So available options. Oh, we dragged them over. I see. Right. Okay.
Yep.
And they have a number to represent their score. Right.
Now, one thing you can do is that you'll see that there will be opponents in this war that may join dependent on what options you take. So what I like to do when I'm on this screen is maybe just pick a random one, like, okay, let's go humiliate. Would other factions join if I choose humiliate? That only happens if you're part of a federation or an alliance. You won't have to worry about that right now. But if you click the invite attackers, you would be saying, hey, Confederated Jackley Sons, would you like to join the conflict based on what I'm showing you here?
I want to take all their planets. I don't give a crap, dude. We're going total war. I don't give a crap. We're going total war.
Love it.
All right, let's go. Confirm. We're at war.
Oh my gosh.
I know it's getting tense. Getting tense.
I feel like we can get some drums and some battle music. Dun 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 dun.
Yep. All right. So, do we have to give specific orders when I'm in zones? Oh my, so many things to blow up in here.
No. Typically, if you are in active conflict with somebody, when you enter a zone with something to blow up, it should do a pretty good job of going to blow it up. It is dependent on if something is attacking you. If nothing is attacking you, you will have to give them orders to blow
Whoa, frontier outposts have got guns? Damn.
Well, kind of, but not big guns.
Up. He did. Oh my god, look at that, all dead. Rest in pepperonis.
System survey complete.
And suddenly look at their borders contract.
Yeah.
I often go to war to just destroy frontier outposts, especially if they put a frontier outpost on something that I wanted. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than like, oh man, I'm gonna take this. But they already took it. Now it's war.
Incoming transmission, occultist flagship.
All right, so remember those cultists?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're also. It looks like they're taking the opportunity to be jerks.
Oh.
Oh no, you found them.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, I think they were hiding in Viridin. They were hiding in the Viridin sector. Those jerks.
Cultists.
They were trying to make buddies with the Viridins. This is why we have a justified conflict. They were aiding and abetting the sacred enemies of us.
They were harboring terrorists.
Exactly.
Oh my god. My god.
Oh my damn.
It feels like it's very productive to go to war, because not only kind of conquering and expanding your borders, but you're also kind of like researching a lot of their tech as well by like hovering up their debris and whatnot, aren't they?
Exactly. One thing that just came up is we have a tradition and we have a tech, so let's pause it and resolve.
What would you go with? Would you go with attack damage, or would you go with secede cost of planet reduction?
What is the one on the far left? That's a build
speed increase and naval capacity.
Since we're actively in a war, I would take the seed planet costs less.
Even
because we're in a conflict.
Okay. Alright, okay.
Oh no. Wait. Master Shipwrights also gives naval capacity.
Too late.
That's okay. They're both good. Naval capacity.
I should hope they're both good. I should hope they're both good because I picked the wrong one.
No, you didn't pick the wrong one. You picked the one that is going to. You picked the one off the idea that we're going to win.
Oh.
The other one would have given us more ability to win, and because of the way you had your fleet constructed, the only return it would have given you is reduce the maintenance cost since you're already fleet capacity. So the choices there were not like, hey, this tradition gives you fire rate increase, which is gold when you're fighting a war.
Fair enough. I agree with that. Oh, whoa. Military power of a spaceport is like really insane.
Yeah, man. Spaceports early game are pretty rough. Now you have enough fleet to destroy it. It's half of your strength.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend is build a couple ships off the idea that you're going to lose some fleet here, so that as soon as they're lost, you'll just come and immediately rejoin and have your, you won't lose much. Although, God, you're smoking it.
Dude, you don't understand, bro.
Oh my God.
I
didn't lose anything.
No, man, I was...
Okay, so that conflict tells us when you fought that spaceport something very important. Your enemies do not have point defense. If they had point defense, they would have used it against your missiles there, and you would have lost a lot of your fleet. That means you're probably going to steamroll the crap out of these guys.
So what tech don't they have, sorry?
They do not have point defense.
Right.
Point defense is the only thing that can destroy incoming missiles and strike craft, but you don't have strike craft yet.
Wait a second. I just took out that cultist shit. Why is it still showing there?
It is showing there because it is a special project. You disabled it. You have to send I think either a scientist or ships to research the special project.
Yeah, but it's showing the ship as intact because it's got an attack power.
What? We would have to actually see. I mean, I'm seeing that as the special project, but that's weird.
Okay. Let's just mop up these planets. How do I actually occupy the planet? I don't even know how to do that.
So, there are two things that have to happen. One, you have to bombard it from orbit. You just leave. You tell your ship to orbit it, and they will shoot. There are various levels of damage that you can do. Some of them make you enemies of the galaxy. Some of them make you friends of the galaxy. It depends on your bent. You have to then build army transport.
Whoa! They've got a big fleet near mine.
Oh, they have a big fleet. All right, let's pause it and let me take a look at that fleet.
It's 16k. So should I try and intercept that fleet?
Oh, absolutely. Let's go blow it up.
Oh no, I think they're taking out one of my frontier outposts. Oh no, they're not actually. Oh, I realised I got a frontier outpost that I never dismantled. Well, that's actually going to come in handy because they've got a bit of defense for me there. That's nice.
Yeah. So that's one of the situations where, you know, a mistake kind of became a benefit.
Yeah, I realised we talked about that a long time ago and I never actually went ahead with it.
So, you see that one fleet that's still in Cirrus? That is a transport fleet. That means they are trying to bombard your planet and then occupy it. What we'll need to do is build a couple of those as well. So we'll probably want to do this in Feedback Star since it's the most protected. Go to Feedback Planet, or go to Dave.
Yeah, I guess I'm clicking on armies, I'm guessing.
Exactly.
Defense army, assault army.
You'd want an assault army.
How many do I need?
So I'm gonna give you some bad news. You don't need a lot.
Is that
because ground combat in this game is stupid.
okay?
It is literally you have crippling negatives to invade a planet if you have not bombarded it. If you haven't bombarded it completely, and there's a little life bar on a planet while you're bombarding it to let you know ground combat. If you have bombarded it to 0, you can win with a 20th of the army that the defenders will have, because you get massive bonuses for completely bombarding them. So it is legitimately a 1 or a 0. You are either going to win the ground combat or you are going to lose the ground combat.
Okay, so it's kind of like a fort in EU4, isn't it? So you basically siege it down, and then you can assault the walls, which you never do, but you can. Yeah.
Except that there's no attrition. Like your army will just respawn.
Where did where did he go?
He probably emergency jumped. Because you were housing him so badly, he probably hit the oh shit button and he teleported back. In a couple months, he'll appear at one of his home planets because you were just housing him that badly.
Okay, well that kind of makes sense. It's interesting there's no like effect for that, you know, like it feels like I have to just use my intuition to like realize that that's what was happening.
Yeah, there's not a good visual effect. It's just he was there and then he's not.
So that's what's getting taken out of the game, or is that still going to be in there?
Say that one more time.
Is that going to be taken out of the game, or is that still going to be in there?
No, it's still in there. They don't want combats to be decisive. They want to encourage guerrilla hit and run, and the hit the retreat button is a big part of that. In fact, that war that you lost, it's possible that if you would have used exclusively long-range weapons, if you were at that point, you could blow up like 1 or 2 of their ships, hit the emergency retreat button, go back to your main star, go back, hit their ships before they could do any, real damage to you, and just keep repeating that process until you had whittled their fleet down to the point where you could win that decisive battle.
Okay, that makes sense. So I've got now defense, I've got my armies. What do I do with them?
Okay, so when you have your armies, you will want to send them into orbit by hitting the embark all button where they are. So it's in that planet screen. So if you click on your armies, to the left.
Do I need to give it an admiral, a general? Oh, general.
You could give them a general. I would recommend merging all of your armies into one army.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, it doesn't let me. It says there must be at least 2 equal military fleets of the same size class with the same FTL type.
You can't merge. So merge transport fleets together. You can't merge.
Oh, okay. I thought
a combat fleet and a transport.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were. I thought that's what you were hinting at. Never mind.
Yeah. Oh no. I was saying merge any transport fleets you have.
Cool. That's fine. Great. Okay. Yeah, I've only got the one. So yeah. So do I need to give it a general? Do you think that's advisable? Do I need to?
I would always give it a general. Oh yeah. Anytime I actually have somebody doing like conflict, I give them as many bonuses as possible. Also, since the cost of generals is just, the 50 influence, and that's that, there's no reason not to. Oh, cruiser. Oh, it's so delicious. I saw you had cruiser as an option, which means you're going to get cruiser soon.
Oh, I see. Cool. All right. So what do you recommend I do? So I send do I send them all together in one big ball?
Yes, your transport fleet will, by default, trail your combat fleet. They tend to be a little slower. So I would always recommend having your first fleet be in the area you're fighting before your transport fleet gets there, because your transports, of course, can't defend themselves, and it's annoying when they lose because it just gives your opponent free war score.
Fair enough. The war score right now is 16. How did we reach that number?
You reached that number 1 because you blew up the frontier outpost.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It destroyed their starport because your home planet defeated their main fleet in space battle. That's probably where you got the most of your points, is that you won a decisive battle.
Oh shit, boys. Space battles in my favor. I'm fighting some ruby stacks.
Yeah, we don't want to sort of encounter them yet.
Oh.
Or I mean, we could. You could beat them right now because they're only at 800.
Well, the reason why I suggest that is because we can't. Can we not just dodge them, and go around them?
Yeah, you could.
Oh, okay.
You
Well,
don't have to fight them.
okay, that's fine. I thought I needed to. That's the reason why I said that. Never mind.
There are. I mean, a wholly depend. You can go around them, unless as soon as your transport fleet jumps in and they go, "Oh no, I'm so scared."
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
A science ship, for instance, would jump in there and be like, "Oh no, it's so spooky."
Yeah, get the fuck out. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, this combat's going swimmingly for you. One of the things that is annoying about combat later in the game is that because they will tend to jump their fleets out before they lose everything, by the time you get back to capitalize on destroying their fleets, they will have rebuilt or had been building ships to begin with. So it's like, I don't even get to really benefit from blowing up their fleets. That's annoying.
Wow, really? Holy shit, that's really quick.
Because presumably they're doing the same thing against you that you are doing against them.
I see.
Which is, oh crap, we just lost ships. Build every ship we can. Put every planet to build a bunch of ships. So really, combat starts to be... war starts to get more won when you're starting to take their planets. The AI will always prioritize taking back a planet they have lost instead of attacking you. Makes sense. It's war score. It's reducing your war score. But you can essentially leave your fleet at their planet, and whenever they jump in, the dregs to sort of take it back, you'll just, they'll be walking into a meat grinder.
Sounds good.
So what we want to do is we want to choose the first fleet, and we just want to give them an attack order on the planet Utheon Shrine.
Yeah, and I can see like blasts happening, so that's a bombardment, right?
Yep. You could, by choosing the fleet, there's those boxes right beneath or right to the right of the leader and sort of to the right of the fleet strength. Those are things that you can assign. So you could have them do more damage to the planet at risk of killing civilians and buildings. There is really no negative unless you are a militarist, because then you can sort of choose purge. You're looking for the ground attack button. It's in the middle of those 3 buttons that you just hovered over.
Oh yeah, let's do it. So just press it. Oh, I see. I get it now. Yeah. There's a 2% chance that the month that the pop is killed, 5% chance the month that they're building. So what's the advantage of doing this?
More damage per click. So the limited stance does 0.4 damage per ship to the planet,
Holy shit,
whereas the others do 0.3.
We're literally doing drone strikes right now.
Yep.
So much collateral damage.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have been dirty Viridians.
Oh, wow.
Also, they should not have been housing red prophets.
Ah, yeah, that was the real reason, wasn't it? That was the real reason.
So, once that green bar on the planet is empty, you click on your transports and you say land.
Okay, it's
on the planet.
Drained. Go into enter orbit. Oh, no. Land, yep.
Yep.
It won't. Planetary invasion begun.
Yep, and you can click on that to watch bars go up and down. It's usually a good idea to watch one or two of them.
It's like, watch the counters, watch the dice being rolled.
Now, if you are going to lose, you can click the retreat button to send them back to orbit. and you will heal and they won't because you're still bombarding the planet.
Our invasion was failed.
Yep. So it looks like we had we probably wanted 2 or 3 more ground armies.
Wait,
So
look.
let's just rebuild them.
Oh shit! Looks like there was a lot more than I needed, dude. You told me 2 was enough.
Well, you didn't have any text.
Oh no! Alright, we're not gonna make that mistake again, boys.
That's the spirit. Hell yeah, have all the planets build them, get them all together. Love it.
We go from just being subtle about it to being going absolutely nuts with it.
Okay, so we do have a little bit of a problem. We are starving.
Oh shit! Yeah, we are. I've just spotted that.
So what we can do is we can move some people around on our planets to put them from minerals to food, because right now we've got a huge mineral surplus. We don't really need the minerals. It also looks like that 1 or 2 of those guys, like I see on like Twitch Prime, some of those guys could have buildings. Like put them on food and then build the food building. The basic hydroponic farms, yeah.
Twitch Prime. Oh right, okay. Basic hydroponics.
Basic hydroponic farms are the food building for food tile.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. The food is the low. What does this mean? Pop is. Oh, Pop is starving. Pop is. Oh, so it limits the growth. Right. I get it.
Yep.
Oh boy.
And
oh
they
boy,
do
boy.
get unhappy if they can't eat.
I'd imagine. Revolution, boys. Okay, that's good. We'll take care of that now. That should be 3 food actually, so that should just be enough.
Yep, should be enough. One thing I've noticed is also your Twitch Prime can upgrade its colony center once those food buildings are done being built.
Oh yeah, I can see that. That's right.
Build bigger building.
That. Is that the right one I just pressed, or?
Yep, that little upgrade arrow.
The food is needed.
Yep. It actually looks like that Twitch Prime is the drain of food. They have a net 4, and you're at a net 3. So fixing their specific food situation will fix your food situation for everything.
Awesome. I like it. Okay, just one sec.